Hi, I'm Cheryl, and today we're going to do a shabby chic or a vintage style Christmas card. I'm using the Stampin' Up's Angels on Earth stamp set, and we're using, let's see, Wishing You Blessings at Christmas. That will go on the front. And then it has a nice sentiment for the inside, praying the season brings joy, peace, and love as we remember the wondrous gift of Christ the Lord. It has this lovely vintage style angel and this corner stamp here too in a vintage style. So we'll be using all four of those. This one, this one, this one, and this one. And I have some of them set up on my Stamparatus. Okay, and I'm using a Merlot cardstock, and this is a 5.5 by 4 1/4 inch card. So this is cut at 10 by 4 1/4, and then scored and folded at 5.5 inches. And I have a piece of very vanilla. I have several pieces of very vanilla here, and this will go on the inside, where we have our inside sentiment stamped. And this is 5 by 3 3/4. And if you notice right here, you see that my edge here is just a little ragged. This is about time to replace my cutting blade. If that happens to you, all you need is a nail file and just file that off. Another tip to extend your cutting blade is, now I find that I normally cut upwards towards the stop thing on the top. If you cut in the opposite direction than what you normally do, you'll have, it's like you have a whole new blade on there. And on some of them, actually most of them, you can take that blade out and turn it around if you're just too stuck in that I have to cut in this direction kind of mode. So it's a little tip for you. Then I have another piece here, and this is, let's see, it's 4.5 by 3.5, but we're going to tear the edge of this and we're going to tea dye this piece. I have another bit here that's going to be for our little sentiment, lacy tag for the front, and another one to stamp our angel on. Then, to keep things moving along, I printed out this vintage paper, and this is from Far Hill, and it's a Freebies Old Style Paper Kit is the name of this. And I have a color printer. I printed this out, but if you don't have one, I have a piece of the Petal pink cardstock here, and I'm going to show you what you can do if you don't have a color printer and can just print this out. So we're going to just decorate this a little bit. And this is the die set I used for the sentiment on the front. And this is Spellbinders, and it says Fancy Tags 2. Oh, I got lots of more stuff out here too. We're going to need your Tombow glue. I'm going to be using probably, maybe not. I may not use my Art Glitter Dries Clear Adhesive today. But I'm going to use my Tombow. We need some Stampin Dimensionals. I'm going to use my Nuvo Gilding Flakes. The tip with these Gilding Flakes: do not sit anywhere where the air is moving when you're using these. These little buggers are just lighter than air, and they'll just go floating off everywhere. Even if you don't have air moving, they float around. So we'll be using that. And then I have a couple of my I call them scratchy sponges, but these are the ones that are the round sponge Stampin' Up sells, and then I just cut it into 1/8 and use these little triangles, and 2 sponge daubers, one for our Merlot and one for Sahara sand. And then the inks we're going to use are Early Espresso, Sahara sand, Merlot. And we also need, I have my seam binding. We're going to need a piece. Let's see, this one's just a little short. I miscalculated a bit. Let's see, this is about 10 inches long. I'd say a piece, you're going to need a piece at least 12 inches. You might want to give yourself another inch or two. So say 15 inches of seam binding. And that's just the white seam binding. And when I tea dye my paper, I'm going to tea dye some seam binding also. So let me get a piece cut off of here. And let's see, I need a nice sharp pair of scissors. So let's see. We'll go about right there. And put that aside. I got this big spool on Amazon. It's huge. I will probably never ever have to buy seam binding again in my lifetime. And it's nice because you can use it as the white, you can tea dye it, you can dye it with your dye-based inks. It's fabulous. You can crinkle it, get it real crinkly. I only had it a little crinkly for this one. It's wonderful, wonderful stuff. Then I have my couple of Stampin' Blend markers for coloring the angel in. Of course, you can color it any way you like, whatever medium you like the best. I have light Petal Pink and light Flirty Flamingo. And I have my fussy cutting scissors because I need those. I have some of my stamps on blocks here. Let's see what else. And I have a bit of scrap paper here. I'm going to need some paper towels. Then I have a little glass container here to put my tea in, and I have a cup of very strong tea that I brewed and let it sit for, I don't know, a couple hours because I let it cool off. So let's do the tea dyeing first here. Let me get my paper, and I'll get a piece of paper towel off here. And the first thing we're going to do, we're going to tear the edges. So I sized this so I could tear off about a quarter of an inch, and it does make a difference what direction you tear. If you're tearing upward like this, it gives you a nice big decal edge on there, and if you tear it going the other way, it's not so, I don't know, so decally. So let's get that all torn off. And then I tore some parts extra just to make it really look old, you know. Let's tear a little piece out there. There we go. So let me pour my tea in here. And we're going to just take our paper, poke that down in there, let that get good and wet. Now that's going to it's going to make your paper a little bit more delicate, so you'll want to handle it with care when you're taking it out. And I'll stick my ribbon in there too. Look at that, get tea dyed so it matches the paper somewhat. Alright, now we take our paper out. You see? Now it's tea dyed. Now when I did mine, this takes quite a bit of time to dry, and I still had some tea sitting next to it. I didn't put my tea away, and my cat decided that she would add a little bit more because she'd dip her feet in there and then just flung it everywhere. So if you have a cat that likes to do that, don't leave your tea sitting around, unless you want them to help you with the decorating of your papers. So I'm going to blot mine out a little bit here too. That'll help do it. So if you're making a lot of cards like this, do a whole bunch of these all at one time and set them aside to dry. And the ribbon also. See my ribbon now? Get most of that tea off of there. I'll fold that in half and lay that out here on my paper. I'm going to flatten it out a little bit because I only want it a little bit ripply. And I'll give that a blot too. So this is you do this one time, get it all set up, everything all laid out, let this dry, and then you can do the rest, work on the rest of your card while you're waiting on that. You get everything all ready to go together. Maybe the next night put all your cards together. I'm thinking, mass producing, where you have like maybe 30 cards on your list you want to make this for. Okay, so I've got that sitting. Let me put that aside to dry. And through the magic of video, I have one that's already done right here. So we can keep moving on. So let's see. This piece here will be our die cut. So let me find and get that out. I'll have to go visit Mr. Big Shot in a little bit. Ah, there it is. There's my die. And I had a stamp around here somewhere. Ah, here they are. So I'm going to stamp this in Mary Merlot. I'm going to put this on here just so I have an idea where I'm stamping. I need to do something with this tea. I'm so afraid I'm going to knock it over. Get that inked up real well. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and if it's a little bit crooked, it's no problem because we will die cut it next. So I'm going to lay this on here. I can look through the center of my die there. I get that all lined up nicely. And I have a bit of painter's tape around here somewhere. There we go. So I'll just tape that down. And that will go over to Mr. Big Shot. So let me get that closed up because that would make a terrible mess otherwise. Oh, you know what? Let me open that up again. Let me bring in my Stamparatus here, and we'll stamp the inside also. Let me get the angel. I have the angel in there right now. So there we go. And I need to find my inside paper. There it is. I have this all lined up already. And here's another little tip. I'm just full of tips today. To make sure that your sentiment is lined up properly. I place it on my paper kind of sort of where I want it. And then I'll take a straight edge and put it across the bottom of one of the lines of print on the stamp, and check that against the grid in the paper. If I need to adjust, then I can adjust. And then I usually do just a you know, on any old paper, kind of a test print, just to make sure that it's going to be straight. So let's ink that up with the Merry Merlot. And 1, 2, 3. And there we go. That's a beautiful impression. I don't need to do that again. I can take that out and put that aside to be cleaned. Now we'll close this up. Okay, then the next thing we'll do is we'll get our angel. And put our piece of Very Vanilla in there. And I'm going to ink that with Early Espresso. You notice I'm using some new stamp pads, I'm using some old stamp pads. When my old ones wear out, I'll get new ones. Let's get that inked up real good. But I still have, I tell everybody, when you get a stamp pad, get the refill if possible. So I still have the refills for these old ones. So, and unless the stamp pad itself wears out, I'll be using those for a good long time. Okay, and there's our angel stamped. And take this out, and that can be cleaned up later. Put the Stamparatus away here, or our Stamparatus. And let's color the angel in now. So I'm going to use the Flirty Flamingo first. Now open it up so you have the painty type tip on there. And I'm just going to give her a little pink blush on her cheeks. It's just a little swipe there. We're just doing this very simply. There's no, when you're doing Christmas cards, it's a mass production kind of thing, right? And just, I'm not even going to the edges, I'm just swiping it on. We want a very vintage look on this. Then I'm going to take my Sahara sand. There's probably enough in here in the dauber. I'm just going to put a little bit of the Sahara sand color on the wings. And I believe it actually picks up a little bit of the color from the Early Espresso there too. And in her hair, I'm going to do her hair a little bit too. So it's it's kind of a vintagey sepia kind of look to it. Now when the inks dry, they're going to dry just a little bit lighter than that also. So now that's going to have to get fussy cut. This has to be die cut. This bit here has to be die cut. And I'll do that and I'll be right back. So now I have my little angel has been fussy cut. I've die cut my little tag for the front here with the wishing you blessings at Christmas. And I also, while I was away, because I wanted to get this started drying, with one of these sponges, just put a bit of Tombow glue on here and just dab randomly on here. Now we don't want to totally cover all the lacy parts, because when we put the gilding flakes on, we want it to look like gold leaf that's starting to wear off, to keep with that vintage look to the card. So I've got that now sitting aside drying, and we can decorate our bit of cardstock if you don't want to print it out or can't print it out. I realize most people, or a lot of people, don't have the color printer like I do. So I need to cut that to size first. So let me bring in my Stampin Trimmer. And let's see, we want a 1/4 inch border, so we're going to cut this to, let's see, can I go this way? Yeah, so we want to cut this to 3 3/4 by 5 inches for the front of the card. Now if you want to, you could also tear the edge on this too, in which case you're going to want to cut it, cut it like 5 1/2 by 4 1/4, so you have a little bit to tear off on the edge. I'm not tearing it off. So let's see, where did my, I need my, I'll need my little border, my little corner thing here. I need my Sahara sand, and I need my Sahara sand sponge dauber. I have dedicated sponge daubers, so I don't have to clean these in between. It saves me so much time. So let me get that, and I'm going to sponge around the edges first on here. Ink that up, and just to give it a little something around the edges. My Sahara sand seems to be a little dry. It's as dry as the sands in the Sahara. I'll have to ink that up when I'm done. And we don't have to have it real evenly blended. I don't know if you can see that on there, because it's just to give it an that old vintage look. And it just makes it a little more interesting if you do come in a little bit in different places. Let me bring that in a couple spots here. Okay, so there it is. We've got that part done. And then I'm going to ink up my corner stamp here with the Sahara sand. And since my ink pad's going a little dry on me, if it was a good inky one, I would, let's see, how do I want to do this? Just do it in the corners. If it was good and inky, I'd stamp it off first, but I don't think we need to do that. So I'm just going to put my Sahara sand corners in here, like so. And that's enough of a decoration for our background bit. And I'm also going to do the same thing on my piece that I've tea dyed, and I'm just going to put that in the two upper corners here. The bottom ones get pretty well covered up with things on the card, so we just need to do that. And so now we're done with the Sahara sand. I can put that aside. So let's see, we've got this done, we've got that done. I seem to have lost my ribbon. Oh, there it is. Like I said, my ribbon is just a little short, so I hope I can get a decent little bow out of it. And we're ready to put this, oh, no we're not. We're not ready to put the card together. I thought we were. We need to bring this out. And I see I've got a little cat hair on there. The thing with this, you want your Tombow glue to be very dry. You want it totally dry, and it's going to stay sticky. So let me get my scrap paper out here. And you don't want anything blowing while you do this. So do it away from air conditioning ducts, heat ducts, whatever. Don't sneeze on it. Don't talk and say words that make air go out of your mouth, because it's very, very light and floaty. Here, look, watch this, watch this. See that? That's how light and airy it is. So we're just going to put that on there. Bits of foil. And then I have another bit of the sponge. This is totally clean. There's no glue on this or anything. And I'll be using that to burnish this off. So we get these flakes out. And look at this tub of these flakes. I've been using this for a long time now. And it doesn't look like I've used any of it yet. There's just so much of it in there. And you don't use much when you're doing this. This is something you could probably, if you've got another crafty friend, you could probably, both of you could get one and split it between you. Because I probably, when I die and my children are cleaning my house out, there'll probably be a tub of this still sitting there. It'll look like I never used it. That's kind of a morbid thought, isn't it? But it's true. Okay, there we go. So I've got all my little sticky bits, I think, pretty well covered. There's a little bit more up top here. And then we're just going to brush that off. See, there's just enough scratchy in here to take that off, the excess off. Usually all these little bits I'll take and put, I have another plastic container that I usually put these little bits in, and it's I have copper and I have silver in this leafing, these gilding flakes, and I just put them all in together, and then I have a mixed one. But today I'm just going to put it back. I'm just going to put it back in the container. Okay, so that's done. So you see, it looks kind of like it's just it's been gold leafed, and some of it's starting to peel off. I'll try to get them back in there without them floating all over. And get that lid back on. Just my paper moving blew some out. God forbid some should get away. Now we're going to take a sponge dauber and some of the Merlot ink. I'm going to go over that just to add some color, to tie that in with the Merlot that we use for the sentiments and the card base. So obviously I can't sponge it and talk at the same time. I'm going to make this one a little bit darker than I did my original. So I could have gone back and done it on my original too, but then I got it all done and I thought it looked it would have looked a lot richer if I'm trying to get just a little bit around here. If I had done it a little darker. So we're going to make it darker on this one. There we go. So let me just try to blend that in a little bit better. Alright, there we go. Let me get that closed up. And give my table a wipe so we don't have Merlot all over everything. back there a little sentiment. There. That's most of it. That's good. Good enough. Okay. So let's start on the inside. I'm going to use my Tombow to adhere this, because I want that centered, and that gives me a little bit more time than than any of my other glues to get it centered nicely. There we go. So that's so far so good. Then we're going to put this piece down next. Oop. We're going to center that piece. Then our little tea-dyed and stamped piece will go next. And Tombow on that. Center that. And then next will come these two. So I'm going to trim off this little bit right here on the top. I'm going to cut that off because I just want to make sure that I'm not going to see that. Okay, so I'm going to put that one, let's see, right about there, and then the angel will go right about here. Should go this way. I'll put the angel on top. I'm going to trim off some of the angel too, now that I'm looking at it. Okay, there we go. And these are going to be attached with our Stampin Dimensionals. You use Stampin Dimensionals. You can use some craft foam and glue it, whichever you feel better about doing, or if you've run out of Stampin Dimensionals, you have some craft foam around. So I have one more video coming before Christmas, and then I'm going to take some time off. I'll be hitting the ground running come January, because then we're going to have to start doing Valentine's Day cards. But in the meantime, I'm going to, like I said, I have one more video coming before Christmas time, and then I'm going to take some time off for the holidays. And my grandson's birthday is New Year's Eve, so he'll be 2 years old. He'll be officially in the terrible twos. You know what? These two are a little bit low. Let me get those moved up a little bit. Don't put those down too low like I did. Because we need to overlap right here. See? Like so. We're going to overlap it. See, I can't craft and talk at the same time, obviously. Yeah, then we'll be, come January, lots of things. We're going to start doing Valentine's Day cards. Stampin Up has their celebration will be starting, and their let's see, what is it called? The Occasions catalog will be coming out. Right there. That looks nice like that, but we're going to put a bow on it. So, like I said, a lot of things going on. Will be going on. So, let's do the bow. So, we wrap around like this. Hold it at an angle, like so, on your fingers. Wrap around like this. Poke this end down through the little V here. Bring that up. And then we're going to tie these two ends together. And this is not the easiest thing to do. This is, technically it's a fork bow, just done on my fingers instead. And it's easier if you have somebody handy to help you pull that tight, because you want that pulled nice and tight. I'll slide that off my fingers. And that's going to go right here in the center. And I have found that attaching ribbons is easier if you use a glue dot, or even a Stampin Dimensional, one of these little dimensionals, to hold it in place. So I have glue dots, but I'm going to just trim a little piece off here because I have it. I have it handy. Glues tend to like soak into the fabric of the bow and just doesn't want to stick right. By the way, you can use your Tombow, and if you save like this backing here, and you can use your Tombow and make your own glue dots. There are videos out there telling you all about how to do that, but basically what you do, I can show you this in like a minute. You take your Tombow glue and make a dot on the paper there for whatever size dot you want to have it. Say kind of a medium size one like that. And then you just set it aside and let it dry, and you have a glue dot. Yep. So that's one less craft supply you have to buy now. You make your own glue dots if you plan ahead. I probably will never do that. I did it just to see how it worked one time, and it works. So I'm passing it on. So there's our card. It's all finished. Got our front, got our inside. And if there are any products that you liked that you want to get from Stampin' Up that you've seen in my video today, then that would be wonderful if you used me as your demonstrator. And you can go shopping with me either through my Facebook page or my blog, and that's listed down below. That's all that stuff is down below. Down below too, if you want to leave any comments or you have any questions about this card, then please ask and I'll do my best to answer your questions. I do keep track of that, and sometimes it's a day later I get back to people, or sometimes it's almost real time. It all depends on if I happen to be on my laptop at the time that you ask your question or leave your comment. Let's see, what else? Oh, and as always, all the tools and materials I use, that'll be all listed down below. Check my blog out from time to time, because I do put things there that don't make it anyplace else. And the holidays are coming, so get working on your Christmas cards, everybody. So y'all take care, stay safe, and happy stamping.